Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of First Pitch. I'm your host, Braxton Wheeler. Joined with me is head coach Ryan Brittle and my co-host Brandon Roberts. Apologize if my voice crackles a little bit. My throat hurts a little bit this morning, but who's cutting after the weather we played in this weekend, right?
It was beautiful.
It was. Hey, we got 3 games in. Most of the ODAC canceled their games, and here we are. We got ours in. But anyway, hope everyone's doing good. Hope you guys are doing good, and let's jump right into it. So let's talk about the JV developmental games and how they went this week. And also, Coach, I'm going to ask you before we begin this exactly what the purpose is of the developmental games. I'd rather call them developmental games than JV games because they do everything that we do. And why are they so important to our program?
Well, that's exactly the reason why we call them the developmental games, because our guys, there's really no separation of teams within our team. And anybody's liable to get down there in a developmental game and play. But one of the reasons for doing it is just simply to get guys experience at the college level. It's not like we're playing high school baseball or anything like that. We're playing. We played Combine Academy, which is a post-grad school out of Charlotte. Played them last week. We play Patrick Henry Community College. We play Rockingham Community College. Paul D. Camp, Bryant Stratton. So all of the community colleges that are in the area have pretty solid teams, and so you get some pretty good competition out of it. We're able to get young guys like Gladstone and Mumpower, Sokolowski, Ring, Walton, and a host of others. Anybody else on this list that's a sophomore or freshman. Yarborough got some at-bats, Braden Moore, and all those guys. Every player on our team's played in a college baseball game.
That's right.
In the first week of the season. So get those guys on the field, get the butterflies out. You guys remember 4 years ago getting in a ball game and the butterflies and the nervousness and all that stuff? Well, those guys can get them out in the developmental games, and when it's their time to enter into a varsity contest, they're ready to go. They're ready to play ball and compete and be productive for us. So that's why we do it.
Yeah, some of the guys sometimes when they play the developmental games or freshman or sophomore, they get a little maybe discouraged. And we always remind them, like the juniors and seniors, hey, we were right there. Brandon can remember when he was right there. I can certainly remember when I was there. And you got to look at it as an opportunity. And Ty Comer really set a stone, letting everyone know exactly. He's like, hey, man, it's an opportunity, right? If you think about it, seniors should play over freshmen. You have to work your way up to get to that level. And that's exactly what the developmental games do. So anyway, let's talk about this weekend. Good weekend for us as a team. Very interesting weekend with the weather, of course, but I bet we used how many bags of turfish, you think?
I
think 30 maybe. I don't know.
Enough to win 3 games.
That's it. Enough to get a sweep. So I'll give you stats for game 1. We had Nathaniel Anthony went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, a home run. Jake went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Kyle Anstis 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. And Colby and Will gave us great innings. Colby went 5.1 innings pitched, and Will went 3.1 or with 3.2 with 6 Ks. So, Coach, if you just want to talk about all 3 games or however you want to do this, let's jump into it.
I thought it was a really good weekend on the mound for us. Colby, we pitched 6 guys. Colby, Will, and then Joey Pride threw the second game of the series, threw a complete game shutout. Joey was sharp. And then Mitch, we gave Mitch his first start of his career, college career, on Sunday in treacherous conditions. It was 33 degrees here. The rain parted, the clouds like the Red Sea parted at 1 o'clock. We were able to get the tarp off. We were able to get some bags of turfis in the grass to dry up some of the water in front of our dugout, and we played ball at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was about 33, 34 degrees. There was actually ice on the trees.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable. It's the worst conditions I've ever played in, but I talked to their coach about it, and he was like, Coach, we play in this all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're kidding. And then I talked to another coach about it, and yesterday, and he said your expectations for playing surface are much higher than the teams out of the north, and they have to be because they're going to freeze thaw every night, and the ground's going to be wet. But anyway, back to our team. So our pitching did well. Mitch started the third game of the series, and Callahan followed him, and Callahan was pretty darn sharp. And then we got Noah in there for the last inning of the third game, and Noah was sharp and looked good. So I was really pleased with our pitching. Our hitting's coming along. There's pieces of the offense that are there, right, B-Rob? And pieces of the offense that are going to come, right? And I think once we get all these guys into a groove and doing well and playing their part, we're going to be able to put up some runs and be able to give ourselves a chance to win a lot of our games. So I'm excited about the rest of the year. And as I said last week, after our Christopher Newport, before this series, I believe in this team. Yeah. And I think that you guys do too. So I'm excited for it. Look forward to seeing where we go.
Certainly.
So, Coach, you mentioned how our hitting's coming along. You know, it's getting better and better each game. As we scored 16 runs last game, you know, we only had 3 strikeouts in the entire game, which is definitely a plus. How nice is it to see some of the young guys, you know, like Mumpower getting his first college hit, Stoneman getting his first college hit. At that, it's a home run. How nice is it to see some of these young guys, you know, coming into play for us and stepping up in big moments?
It's so, as you guys know, over the past 3 or 4 years, we've had freshmen in our lineup every year, every single year. Mm-hmm. And although we love our freshmen, I would prefer to get gray hairs from older guys than to get gray hairs from the younger guys. So it's easier to put people in a position to be successful, and when they get in there and they're successful early in their career, it just kind of helps them to grow their confidence. And I mean, it's fantastic for me to see. You can probably remember your first college hit, and they'll probably remember their first college. Stoneman, I guarantee, will remember his first college hit for the rest of his life, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's great to see those young guys get in there and to have success. And by the way, every single one of those young guys has been in a developmental game for us at some point in their career. And probably everybody on the field has been in a developmental game. But it's fantastic for those guys to be able to get in there, to have some success, to get their feet wet, and one day they'll be the guys that'll be sitting right here, and they'll be the guys that we count on all the time. So it's good to see.
That's right. Yeah, it's interesting too. I think we have like 4 home runs right now. We definitely don't preach home run baseball, but we're definitely hitting a few home runs right now.
Every year.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been good to see. And I want to talk about Nate a little bit, Nathaniel Anthony, and how he's been such an asset to our team. I feel like we haven't mentioned him enough. Obviously, he's so consistent. Ever since he stepped foot here, he has been really the definition of consistency for our team. And I just want to, how much he means to our program. I want everyone to understand. Nate comes into to work every day with us, and he's there every day. He's always a positive attitude. He's a great kid. He could easily be one of the team captains, and he pretty much is, just because he's a senior. And everyone, you can just see, look up to him. I mean, I even look up to him in certain ways. And he kind of reminds me of Jay Conlon a little bit, if anyone remembers him. A little more quiet, but definitely a leader. And you need that on the team. And I just really wanted to take a second and give Nate some credit for all he does, and just let the program know we should appreciate Nate and everything that he does.
Nate's a left-handed hitting second baseman. He's a senior this year. He was a junior college transfer and has, molded himself right into our team culture. And he's really kind of made a big jump this year. I think he's a guy that really didn't lift a whole lot before he got into our program. Started in our weightlifting program last year, and kind of just grew to love it, and gets in the weight room and lifts, and his frame, 6'3" frame, has accepted some muscle that has really helped him a lot at the plate. We started off the year with B-Rob as our leadoff guy, and we kind of flipped those guys the last 3 games, and I feel like he's he's settled right into that leadoff spot. He's our guy. It's fun. It's great. It doesn't give you confidence as a team when the first guy goes up to the plate and it's Nate standing at the plate, ready to rip a double down the line. Gives me a lot of confidence anyway. So good that he's molded himself into that position, we're certainly thankful to have Nate.
That's right. So let's this weekend, the weather doesn't look too promising. Tonight doesn't look too promising. The whole week it doesn't look too promising. But what's new? So, Coach, I'm sure we don't know but so much about this weekend.
We're going to finagle some games in here.
That's right.
This
we did it this past weekend.
We did, and there's a good chance. I'll say this: there's nothing set in stone yet. The wheels are in motion. There's a good chance that the certainly the weekend schedule will change. We don't know exactly what that's going to be yet, but it will change, and we are going to try and get some games in here at home at some point in the weekend. Sunday's supposed to be 65 and sunshine after 2 days worth of rain, and Monday's supposed to be 54. So there's a possibility that we could play here Sunday and Monday.
And that means we would play next Tuesday as well at Wesleyan?
At Wesleyan. So, we'd have 3 days in a row, 4 games in 3 days. And it's that time of year. You just got to play.
That's right.
So, Coach, a week from this Saturday is actually our first doubleheader conference game against Washington and Lee, March 2nd.
At home.
At home, correct. So how is your approach different, this year in ODAC matchups? Because, we only have a 2-game doubleheader on one day, and against the USA South we had a 3-game series, 3 days, sometimes 2 days. How is your approach different this year than it has been in previous years?
So it's going to be much different. The management of arms will be different, and that's the biggest difference is going to be the management of the arms. So in the past, and I'll never make excuses for our team because there's no excuse for losing or playing poorly, but in the past, we've had to we use our top 8 or 9 pitchers on the weekend. You talk about 3 9-inning games on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, which happened a lot. Now, you wouldn't hold anybody out that's one of your top pitchers from the weekend to pitch them, whether it's to start them in relief or to close the game or whatever. You're going to use your top pitchers on the conference weekends because the only way in the USA South, the only way you're going to the regional is to win the conference. The best way to win the conference is to win the regular season and be the number 1 seed going into the tournament. So we used all of our top guys on the weekends, and then when it came to the weekday games, we no offense to anybody that pitched in a weekday game, but we used the guys that we had left after the conference series. Those are the guys that we pitched in the weekday games. So we only need to pitch 18 innings on the weekend, and we're certainly going to use the best guys we have on the weekends. But 18 innings is not going to be that hard to cover. 9 innings less on the weekend. So one of our top 3 starters is going to start midweek games. That's awesome. And when you have a number 3 guy starting against a number 4 or number 5 on somebody else's team, there's a significant advantage there. Mm-hmm. There's very few teams have a 4th or 5th starter. Mm-hmm. That's usually Johnny Holstaff day, and everybody pitches 2 or 3 innings or 1 inning apiece or whatever. So that part of it's going to be vastly different. I look forward to seeing the differences between the 2 conferences because there are some very good teams in the USA South. And to me, it's a hindrance having to play a 3-game series on the weekend if you want to compete in a regional setting. If you're only playing 2, then you're saving pitching for the midweek games and you can win your midweek games. The USA South gets beat up during the midweek because they use all their pitching on the weekend in a 3-game series. And so, anyway, I look forward to seeing how it plays out, seeing the differences between the 2 conferences and being able to compare the conferences to each other. And certainly Washington Lee's off to they're smoking hot. They won their first 4 games and then split with Pfeiffer, so they're 5-1. And I'm sure they got more games this week, and they'll come in here ready to kick our tails and show us what the ODAC's all about. So we will get this weekend. We'll battle through this weekend and get some games in, and we'll head into next week and look forward to Washington and Lee and North Carolina Wesleyan before that.
That's right. Yeah, I'm excited for it, and it's going to be here before you know it. So that's all I got. Do you have anything else? Or?
I don't have anything, B-Rob.
Nope, nothing.
just keep your eye on the weather for the week. Keep your eye, again, our crack shot SID, Gary Holden, who's behind the camera. We'll be putting that out on the website. So keep your eye on the website. Keep your eye on social media, Ferrum Baseball. What's our Twitter page?
At Ferrum BSBLL. That's the
Ferrum,
underscore. Just Ferrum Baseball, you'll see it pop up. So.
Yep. So follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram,
Everything.
and you'll find out what the plan is for the weekend. Until then, we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks.